This might be a bit of a controversial one, but this night had unreal DJs and still kind of disappointed me. So last Friday we had Toxic Machinery with Teletech at World Headquarters in Newcastle. Stacked lineup, big expectations across the two rooms, and yeah, I think the general feel and vibe going into it was this is going to be another sick night. Across the two rooms, upstairs, you had the likes of JTS, Liv Arnsby, then you had Toxic Machinery on. Downstairs, we had Cheska, we had Noom, and then we had Gonzi. So, like I said, all in all, really stacked lineup, big expectations across the board from the DJs. Music wise, like, I actually can't fault it. Every DJ that I heard and listened to and went and seen, like, actually smashed it. They brought the energy, they brought the vibe. I think starting from the beginning, JTS, from what I've seen of him, was absolutely fucking shelling it. I think there was a bit of a mix up between him and Liv as to who was going first. But yeah, nonetheless, he came on, delivered his set. Like I say, it was pretty flawless throughout. Then, like I say, you had Liv Arnsby upstairs that went next. Liv is just Liv. That girl gets better and better every time you see her. I've got no complaints from her. When I first seen her before she went on, which was nice to like just catch up with her briefly and speak to her. And then, like I say, when she went on, I was stood like just to the side of her, and yeah, she was just fucking mint. Like, she's gonna go. I can't. I sound like a parrot. I constantly repeat myself when it comes to her, but she's got. Please remember the name because there's big things coming from her. I think you'll start to see her as the year goes on bigger and better lineups. Then, well, downstairs, sorry, you had Cheska. She opened with like a really groovy, like bouncy type. Well, it was kind of like hard groovy to begin with. Really, really good opener. I love hard groove. Me, Ben, Sky, Abby, Max, Jordan, Tal, we were all like at the back, booty bopping to begin with. Went over and like surprised her a little bit. I wish I'd like gone and spent more time with it around the decks actually. But yeah, really, really good set. If you've not seen the clips from her set, please go and see them because yeah, she did smash it. It was really, really good opener. Set the pace, brought the energy for the rest of the night. The second person that was on downstairs, Noom, I want to give a massive shout out to Noom because for me, I said it going into the event and she like fully backed it up. That was one of the most underrated sets on that entire lineup. She absolutely killed it and it was very like 2023 style techno. I thought I really enjoyed her set and I almost felt sorry for her. I'll get into a little bit why later on, but yeah, I did almost feel sorry for like how many people she was playing to. Knowing how good she is and how good that set was, I wanted more people to be there to like give her the energy that she deserved and just play to a bigger crowd and a bigger audience. I felt like she was let down a little bit there. But yeah, massive shout out to you, Noom. If you see this and you watch this at all, you absolutely killed it, and I will definitely be coming to see you again. Then closing on both stages downstairs, we have Gonzi. I honestly can't say anything about Gonzi personally. I didn't see him at all, which I hold my hands up. That's a massive mistake from myself. Like I said to myself, I was gonna go between the two floors, eat like all night. I did do so right up until the end, and we just kind of stayed upstairs or went outside for some fresh air. We didn't even venture down into the downstairs room, so I hold my hands up for that. But from what I have heard, my friend Holly, she went down and she was like listening to Gonzi. She actually, I think, like I said, I'll get into it a little bit later on, because of how many people there was there downstairs. That there wasn't too many. He actually let her go on the decks for a little bit, which I thought was fucking really cool. Like, it's a DJ, he's playing Teletech, girls come over, that's a DJ herself. Gone, fancy jumping on the decks with me? She's gone fucking too, right? Yeah, so I think that was really cool. And closing upstairs, Toxic Machinery, first time I've ever seen them. I think I forgot how heavy they are, how many heavy tracks they've got. They absolutely fucking shelled it. Like, it was so worth. It's been a long time coming seeing them lads, and I'm just gutted that they had to jet off straight afterwards, and I couldn't like meet them properly, grab a picture and stuff like that. But yeah, fair play lads, like that was fucking worth the wait. But yeah, getting on to the main issue then, and like I said, the bigger or the wider problem for me, Teletech need to stop doing two rooms at world headquarters. It doesn't work. Everyone cramps into one room. So essentially, you've got two rooms, a full capacity there that's sold out. Realistically, the main headline act is always on upstairs. So what happens is everyone cramps upstairs. You've got two room capacities that are all cramped upstairs. Whereas when it was the Natavistic event, yes, it was sold out. However, it's just one room capacity, if that makes sense. So although it's full, it's the right amount of people in that room. You haven't got two rooms worth in one room. So the Natavistic event, it was still breathable. People could move. People could dance about. It still felt full. There was still that energy that everyone was packed in without it being too much, without people being uncomfortable and not enjoying themselves. Whereas honestly, this actually felt even worse than the cruelty event for me. It felt like, and I think it's because there was even less people downstairs at this event. But yeah, it got to the point where like my friends Ben and Sky, they were that hot, were that cramped in and uncomfortable that they left at like 2:30. They watched half an hour, I think it was, of Toxic Machinery, and they were like, "Look, we're done. We're going home." So that's like an hour and a half of a DJ that they wanted to see that they just couldn't, and it just ruined their experience. And I think, from what I've heard people saying, there's quite a lot of people that were the same, that just didn't think it was worth staying and putting themselves through that to experience it just to see a DJ that they're potentially going to see again. I personally think that if Teletech are going to do this event again and want to put more rooms on, they'll have to move to a venue like Digi that's a little bit bigger. That means, yeah, they could potentially sell more tickets, but I think in Digi they've got like 3 rooms. Just open it up a little bit more. Yeah, I feel like you can't do 2 rooms again in Worldies. It's just too much, too much. Truthfully, as well, it's actually even worse at the back of the upstairs. So if, like you say, you're not like me, that I'm not a fan of being right in the mixer where I'm cramped in like a fucking sardine, can't dance, can't move, sweating buckets. I'd rather be at the back or the side. But the problem with the back at the upstairs is there isn't actually a speaker where the seating area is, or if you stood on that ledge. Whereas downstairs there is, like at the back opposite the cage. So downstairs it'd be fine because you can still hear at the back. Whereas upstairs there isn't that speaker, so the sound actually gets a little bit muffled, or it's a little bit quieter. Like, everyone can back me up. The people that were in and around where the sofas are, you could quite comfortably hold a conversation and not hear the sound as well. So you're packed in and the sound's not as good. So it just kind of kills the vibe. So yeah, it just doesn't work in that venue specifically. Splitting the rooms up because everyone ends up in the same place anyway. Whereas I think if they kept it to one room, like they did with the Natavistic event, I think reduce the number of DJs that are playing. Like the Natavistic event, there was 3 DJs on upstairs. I think the first two had an hour and a half, and then the second one had 2 hours. That's the best way to do it. You get your 5 hours in, and everyone sees the DJs that they like in one room, enough space, like still enough energy, will still sell out, and they'll make the tickets. I understand from a Teletech point of view, and even upcoming DJs, then potentially not being able to get the chance to play on events like that at Worldies, and maybe he's not supporting as many like grassroots artists that are coming through. However, I think in the grand scheme of things, if I was a DJ that was playing downstairs that weekend, you've got to weigh it up. I personally think a DJ would probably have preferred to have been on like a containment or a collateral and being playing in front of a packed crowd, rather than, for the sake of it, being on a Teletech lineup and playing in front of like a handful of people, if that. Because I'll be totally honest, downstairs there was probably like 10 people tops at all times in that room, including the DJ. So I kind of felt sorry for the ones downstairs. It kind of felt like wasted potential downstairs. And this isn't me shitting on Teletech either, or shitting on Teletech events, because I really respect them as a brand. I really respect the events that they put on, what they're trying to do, how they try to grow as a brand, how they market themselves, and what they stand for. This is just purely constructive feedback on how we can collectively make the events that we go to better. And at the minute, I've made a few like this about worldies, and it does feel like we're not getting heard, and they're not hearing things that. It's just sometimes feels like if it's not a big event, or it's not an event that's based in like Manchester or one of the bigger cities, that a place like Worldies kind of gets forgotten about. And I don't want that to be the case, because that venue's got so much potential to make it better. And yeah, but I want to hear from you. I want to know your thoughts. If you think the same as me, let me know in the comments, and let's just give these guys some honest feedback so we can improve the events that we're going to and make it fair as well. Like, if we're doing one headline and it was three people on a lineup, could we do a grassroots, someone else that's like up and coming, and then a headline, and have it three like that? Do you know what I mean? Make it fair. I think I would personally prefer to see that, because then you're still seeing someone local and giving them a chance. You're then still seeing someone that you might not have heard of before, and then you're giving the headline, like, someone that you're really looking forward to, and bringing that DJ into your area, which Teletech have got the pull to be able to do so. So yeah, that's my kind of constructive rant over. But out of 10, I'd give the event a 7 out of 10. Yeah, I'd give it a 7. But let me know what your rating is in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.